Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to pull some cards. Okay, there was something that came up on Saturday that really kind of stuck in my craw. I don't know how many of you know much about marching, about playing music and marching and what have you. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. I was in high school band. I did marching band for 4 years, and we had to march and play music, and we had to stay in step with everybody around us. And it took a long time for me to actually learn how to march effectively and play my instrument, play my flute, without having the music in front of me, and basically trying to stay in step with everybody around me. It is not an easy task to do. And when I saw the clips, I didn't watch the parade, and I would never watch that parade. If I don't want to, I want my 2 hours or whatever, however much time. I don't want to lose that just watching that nonsense. But one of the things that I noticed was that the army guys who were marching in this parade, they looked like they were shuffling and not marching. I mean, they were not in step with each other. Their lines were not straight. They were really they just looked like they had gotten out of bed and said, okay, we got to do 5 a.m. marching, and we don't want to do it. That's the impression that I got from this. I was like sitting there and I was going, what is going on? Why is it that these guys looked like they were getting ready to go and fight a zombie apocalypse as opposed to marching in a parade? There was no the energy surrounding these guys. I really felt bad for them because the energy surrounding them was just awful. And what I'm going to ask the cards is if there was some underlying message behind the way these guys were marching, and if it had anything to do with if it had anything to do with their state of mind, or if this was something that they planned to do. Because um, I'm not sure how the upper army folks, the officials, the generals, and the commanders, and things like that, how they felt about it. But these guys look like privates. They look like they were the lowest echelon in the ranks in the military. They were dressed in. They look like they look like they were going to go fight in the trenches after they had lunch. I mean, it's just there was no formal look to them. They were just in their camouflage greens, and they just looked like zero energy. They look like a deflated balloon or something. So what I'm going to ask the cards is, was there a silent revolution going on with these guys, or was there something that was going on with them that we just don't know? Okay, so is there something going on with these Army cadets who were marching on Saturday? Was this decided that they were going to as a silent form of protest? And what is the energy surrounding these particular guys? Because something felt off. When I saw those clips, I was like, it didn't really, the first time I saw them, I was like going, ho hum, this is like zero energy. And I was looking at the crowd size and stuff like that. But then I started observing the army guys. When somebody mentioned this, somebody who is familiar with the military, they mentioned this and they said their lines weren't straight. And then I looked at the images and I was like going, yeah, they're right. The lines weren't straight. They were just shuffling. They weren't really marching. They looked like they just did not want to be there. They looked like they had just crawled out of bed and were getting ready to go to have breakfast. They just had no energy. What was there some underlying message with these guys regarding their appearance and the way that they moved, the way that they marched? Because it just seemed to me that there was something going on. There was something hidden in the way that this was presented, in the way that this looked. And the fact that they were not in formal military attire to march in this parade just seemed a little bit off. I mean, it just seemed like if this is a 250th birthday of the Army, then something just felt off with it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try and go into the energy of that and see what, with the cards, what's going on with this. Because it just, it just felt, I don't know if you noticed it, but it felt off. Is that good? One more? One more. Oh, and he said I should show the base. I got the star and I got the fool. Says a lot. Good? Okay. All right. Then we're good. Okay. So I've got the poster down on my lap, and I'm going to try and just put the cards on the table. Let me just turn the camera around. Okay. So here's the cards, and here's the table. Yes, I have lemons all over my tablecloth. And the card that I pulled was the moon card. Howling at the Moon. This card, I think, symbolizes the, I always get the idea of howling at the moon, that there's just a lot of disgruntledness going on beneath the surface. These guys did not want to be there. They were ordered to be there. They had to be there, but I don't think that they really necessarily wanted to be there. And I think this card exemplifies that notion that they did not want to be there, and yet there they were. It's crossed with the Sun card. Enlightenment. Okay, this two major arcana out of the chute. The Sun card is enlightenment. These guys have become enlightened by what's going on. They see this this thing as a joke. They're not happy with it. They don't feel fulfilled by it, and they are enlightened. They are becoming more and more enlightened by what's going on. And that energy is very, very strong. Two major arcanas in one pull, the moon and the sun. Very interesting that those two cross. And the next card to come up is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is... this is crazy. This is the... This whole thing is just like this is basically saying one on top of the other that these guys did not want to be there, and their shuffling and their marching was basically depicted by their stance, by their body language, the way that they carried themselves, and that the energies are saying no, they are not happy. They did not want to be here. They did not want to be there. They wanted to have the army recognized for its birthday in a different way, and not in the way that this is coming up. In the past, they felt like they were respected, that they were admired, and they were revered as a very strong, powerful force. And now they feel like that they are being seen as a joke. The next card is the Devil. And I swear I did shuffle these cards. And this is what's, they said this is what's behind you. This is the energy. This is the energy of this, of what the government is doing. This is that energy that they're kind of swimming in. So there is that sense that while these guys had to be there and they had to march, they did not like it. They did not. They said we have to come up with a way to make our feelings be known, and without saying a word. And so the way that they marched was probably the way that they did. And the overarching energy is the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands. I think it comes across as a youthful energy. It's a very youthful. This is the young people rising up. This is the young people saying, you know what, we're just not happy with the way the situation is. We really do want to, we want to say what we think about about the situation, but we just don't know where to go with it. And I think that that's what this card sort of tells us, that this is a youthful. This is the young people trying to find a way to take action in what was going on and in how things were shaping up. And the immediate future is Temperance. And Temperance kind of comes across to me as a card that talks about how being silent is sometimes the best way to contend with a situation. And I think that this is what they did. They kind of got together and they said, you know what, we don't want to do this. We're going to march in this way, and let's just make it. Let's make a statement with it. And the people who understand marching and they understand what's going on with it, they're going to understand why we're doing it or what we're doing. The hopes and fears is the Seven of Pentacles, or the Page of Pentacles. Sorry, the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, they don't want to lose their reputation. They don't want to lose their their sense of respect, that they had been respected all this time and that people had respected them and they thought that they were really great and they had held the world on a string, and now they're being mocked and they're being joked about. And the reality is they're just young people who really do not want to feel like that their entire existence or their entire livelihood is being made into a laughingstock. This is a card of pride, of kindness, of loyalty, of caring, and this is what's become. How people see them is justice, the Justice card. They say justice is blind, and this is so surprising that there's so much major arcana here, but I think that the energy is very, very strong, and it's saying very, very clearly that they are not happy and they do not like what they were being made out to be, and they feel that justice will have to be served before they can move on and get to the next step. What their hopes and dreams or what they wish for is the Eight of Cups. And this is what it is now. It's disarray. The man has turned away. They have turned away from everything that they believed in, everything that they had hoped for, and they are just turned away from it. They know that the cups and everything is in disarray, that everything is in a sort of state of disarray, and they're not happy with it, but they have to... in order to save face, they have to walk away from it. And the final outcome is the Fool card. This is what ultimately is what happened. They were made a fool of. And look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major arcana in a 10-card spread. This is a very strong energy. This is a very powerful energy. These guys, I have all the respect in the world for them because they really were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they had to do something that they didn't want to do. And it was clear that the only way that they could do it was do a sloppy, half-hearted job, and that's what they did. That is how the energy seems to be playing out right now with them. Surprising that there's 7 major arcanas in this question about the marching. And yes, I think it was indeed planned. I think that they intended to do it that way. As the quotation goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, the squeaky wheels of the tanks weren't the only squeaky wheels that were out there. These guys were also out there, and they were basically saying, we're going to do this, and we're not going to allow this to make us look like fools. So, but the final outcome is indeed the Fool card. So that is what we got here. Whoops, sorry. That is what we got here on this spread. And I think that it's very telling that these cards were shown. I mean, the fact that there's 10 cards in the spread and 7 of them were major arcana. 7 of them. 7 cards, major arcana. That's pretty wild. And but I really was very, very, I mean, my thoughts were really, when I watched this marching, I was like going, oh my God, these guys look really, I mean, they look like they had the enthusiasm of a deflated balloon. They were not happy, and their hearts weren't in it. And I felt very, very sad for them. I thought that, geez, these guys really were giving everything They have given everything that they could for their country. They signed up, they enlisted, they went through basic, they went through all of the things that the military goes through. And they're being treated like props for a political stunt. And I think that I think they know this. I think they realize this. And I think that I think that there's just that sense of disappointment. I mean, I think that the 250th anniversary of the Army, I mean, that's like a big deal. That's like a huge, huge deal. I remember when in 1976, we had the Texas Sesquicentennial, and I was 6 or 7 years old at the time. And there was a big thing about it. And everybody was talking about it. And it was such a huge deal. And it was something that people felt pride about and they felt proud of. And so you're looking at an institution. The Army is an institution. There's bases here in Germany. A lot of the people that I spoke to over the weekend were veterans, and they were appalled by this. And they said, oh my God, that this is what's going on, and this is what these people are being forced to do. And this is where I started questioning and asking, why is it that these folks were being subjected to all of this? And, it was really kind of heartbreaking. I think that the squeaky wheels of the tanks is what's going to live in infinity. I think that this, I have never been to a parade where people were quiet. And this parade sounded more like a funeral dirge than anything else. If you could hear the sounds of the wheels of the floats or of the tanks as they're going down the street, and you can hear these sounds, then it must be deathly quiet in that place. That these people were in this place, and it was so quiet and was so still that it felt like you were at a funeral as opposed to being at a parade. When I was a kid, we used to go to the parade on the 4th of July in Iowa, and my grandparents and I and my siblings and cousins would do floats, and every year we would have a float that we would go out, and we had flags and everything else, and we would do a float, and we would go down the street, and we would we would hear cheering, and people would be waving flags, and they would be happy, and everything would be like great. This was like the total antithesis of that. This was like going to a funeral. It was like, and then all you could hear were the squeaky wheels of these tanks as they're going down the street. And it wasn't just one tank, it was like a bunch of them. And you're like sitting there and you're watching this and you're going, oh my goodness, what is going on here? Okay, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Let's get some different energy going here. And I'm going to see what the outcome of the No King's Marches were. Okay, I was at the one in Frankfurt. It was really fun. The energy was very high. People were excited and happy to be there. And the speakers were really enthusiastically, doing their bit. And there was musicians, and they were playing guitars and singing like protest music and things like that. I mean, it was just a really high energy type of thing, and everybody was really enthusiastic. I watched footage on the news of this. I really have to give these cards extra shuffles so that they can, so that they're not sitting there and stewing in that old energy. But these folks were these folks were enthusiastic. There was like an energy. There was high energy. And somebody said that 3% of the U.S. population were at these protests. So, or rallies, or whatever you want to call them. Somebody said protest sounds too negative, but, No Kings was sort of the idea, and it was for all intents and purposes, it was a protest. But, so I want to see what the energy of the post No Kings protests is. How are people feeling? What's the basic energy of this event, of the post event? Okay, is that good? Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll get started. Okay, so this is the post energy of the protest, and the post energy is the Eight of Swords, and I think that that is people feel still bounded, they still feel restricted, they still feel that sense, but a lot of this is self imposed, and so these folks are probably saying, you know what, we've been self imposed by this energy of these protests, of being told that we can't, that we shouldn't protest, or that we could get arrested and stuff. And this is, I think, this card is simplified by the idea that a lot of this stuff is self-imposed. A lot of these fears are self-imposed fears, and that people, people, depending on what comes next, these folks are going to either break free, or they're going to allow themselves to be tied down by uh, a president or by a government that is trying to uh, prevent them from doing so. And I think that this card basically exemplifies that notion that um, people are in that state. I think this is the like the current the I think this is more or less the pre. To me, it feels like the pre-protest stance that people had. They felt tied and bound and stuff. Like the girl that I saw at the protest, she was wearing a Statue of Liberty crown, and she was dressed in a United States flag type dress that I don't know if she made it or whatever, but she had like a red scarf that she was binding her wrists, similar to what's here on the Eight of Swords. And it's just basically showing that this is what people are feeling like. This is the energy that people are in going into the protest. And it's crossed by the hangman. And the hangman is the uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how they're going to turn out. We don't know what the outcome or whatever is going to be of this specific event. But we are there at any rate. We're just not sure what the outcome, or what the we're not sure if this is going to have an impact, is what I think is what I'm getting from this. The people are saying, I don't know if this is going to have any impact on what's going on, but we're going to do it anyway. The past is in strength, and the strength card is about just what it is, being strong and having the courage to step forward and to do what it is that you have to do. And so this is what people are saying. They're saying, okay, we don't want to be ruled by a king. We don't want to be told what we're supposed to do. So we're going to fight. And the strength card is indicative of that. Okay, I don't have the next card that I pulled is okay. Oh, the past. Well, the past is the Two of Pentacles. The past is you've got this guy who is weighing down what will be most profitable for him. What is the what is for, people asking themselves, what is best for me? What is best for me? What is best for me? And and then there's that sort of that feeling of what's best for the country. And they're trying to decide if going to protest is the best thing for the country, or if staying home would reap a more beneficial thing for them. They seem to come to the conclusion that going was the best thing. The overarching energy is the Hermit. And I don't know if this is necessarily the people themselves, because I don't think the people feel this way. I think it's the government that feels isolated from the people. The government has been trying to silence or put a silencer on the people, and they're isolating themselves from the people, not without realizing that this is the impact that they're having on the people. Is they're basically isolating themselves from what the wishes and the desires of the people are. The immediate to future is the Nine of Pentacles. And look at this lady. She is happy. She's joyful. She has all these pentacles. She's harvested. She's got butterflies. She's got all of these things. So this is contrary to the isolation of the government. You've got this woman who is happy and joy-filled, and she has all of the things that she needs, happening. And that is the sense of, and I think this is a sense of community that people found going to the protests. They have found this sense of community that they had long since been denied, because what happens is what people try to do is they try to isolate they try to isolate people from each other, and then they can over divide and conquer. And that's and this is the I think this is the realization that no, they're not going to divide us. They're not going to conquer us. We are going to stand strong, and we're going to overcome. Um, the concerns and the emotional concerns is the Five of Swords. Okay, yeah, this is people being a little bit concerned about their safety, about going into this and saying, oh well, we wanted to. We wanted protest, but we're a little bit worried that they're going to try and silence us even there. And so this guy has the swords, and he's holding one up, and he feels very confident that he will overcome. But I'm not sure if this is the government or if this is the people. I don't think it's the people. I think that this is the fears and the concerns about opening this particular bottle and letting the genie out. And I think that that's what that's what the fears of the government are, that that they have opened that bottle and the genie is getting out. This is the how others see you. And I think that this is the government. I think this is how people see the government, as the Tower. The Tower card is disaster. This is like everybody that's going to these protests saw that the government is a disaster in the making, or that it's just a disaster straight up. And this is how the people who are at these protests are responding to the government. This is their Tower moment. The government is seeing straight up that the people are not happy, that they're not pleased, and that they are fighting back. The hopes and fears, and I think this is of the government, is the Devil card. Okay, he showed up again with the army reading. He showed up, and in a different position, but still, this is where they're at. This is the people are seeing them for who they really are, and they are the protests kind of open that bottle and release that genie, and the people are seeing them for who they are, and they are not liking what they're seeing. And the final outcome is Judgment. Okay, here we're getting another major arcana card, and the Judgment card is basically people making up their mind and deciding that this is not what we're going to contend with, that they have seen what's going on, they have seen the light of what's happening, and they have seen the disaster that it is, and they are saying, we don't like this, we don't want this, and they hit the streets and they protest in massive numbers. And I think that what started out as a reading about what's going to happen to the people of the protest, I think it actually turned to the energy of their opinions of the government and what the government has done. Because you've got all of these major arcana cards again in different places. We've got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 10 cards are major arcana, and the people are at the point of saying, no, we're not doing this anymore. And I think that is a very hopeful thing. I'm going to pull one more card just to see what it says. And the Six of Swords comes up. This is coming out of the darkness and going into the light. We are at the point now where we are heading into the light. We've passed the troubled waters, and now we are moving to the light. And I think that that's a very good card to overlap all of this. We are now at that point, and that is where the world is going. So, there you have it. As my attempt at pulling cards and using just this to kind of guide me a little bit, but being able to actually feel the energy of the cards and being able to feel what's going on is kind of exciting, but it's also it's not an easy time that we're living in. But when you look at these two readings and you look at all the major arcana that showed up, and I shuffled, you saw me shuffle. So, but you're seeing all of this, and you're seeing that the people are finally saying enough is enough, and they're going out and hitting the streets. You've got the silent protest of the army, cadets. You've got the silent protest of people in the military, and you've got the vocal protests of the people out on the streets and making their voices heard. And I think that that is where the hope is in all of this. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and I look forward to being back here tomorrow for the next meditation. Take care. Have a great day, and as always, namaste.